In today's video, eating over friends and family's houses while on a restrictive diet like AIP, Paleo, or Whole30, or gluten-free, or whatever. Eating over other people's houses. It either can be one of the easiest things or the hardest things, depending on how supportive your friends and family are, whether or not they are aware of your dietary restrictions, maybe they actually have them themselves, or maybe it's just something completely out of their realm of understanding and it's going to be one of the most difficult things that you've ever gone through. Either way, I have some tips to make it go smoother for you. So the first tip is, if at all possible, have people come over to your house, just because then you can control everything. You don't have to worry about cross-contamination or what they're serving or any of that kind of stuff. You can control it all. And then if you're gonna do that, serve things that aren't necessarily that don't scream whatever diet you're on. So if you're on AIP, for example, don't make something with tiger nut flour and no eggs that kind of tastes very dense and may be suitable for you, but for someone who's not even on a restrictive diet at all, may be like, what the heck is this, right? Not gonna really fly with somebody. But if you were to serve them one of my favorite dishes, for example, like pulled pork that you cooked in the slow cooker all day over maybe white rice for them, and then you could have cauliflower rice with some pineapples, some baked plantains, some avocado, cilantro, something like that doesn't scream special restricted diet, and it's delicious for everyone. And the same thing if it's over the holidays, you can do roast turkey, mashed sweet potatoes, all of those things. A lot of things are surprisingly okay inside of these restrictive diets. And then to finish it up, you could do baked pears or baked apples, which can be done for AIP or Paleo or even Whole30, and they're naturally sugar-free and naturally within these restrictive diets. I have recipes for baked apples and baked pears on my site, so I'll link to those below. Okay, so if having people over your house is not going to be an option and you're going over somebody else's house, the very first thing I would do is call the host or hostess or email them if that's going to be more appropriate for you, and just ask to have a conversation about your diet and what you can do to accommodate your needs. Now, make sure you state up front that you're not trying to change their plans or anything like that, but you just want to make it as painless as possible for them, so that way you can still have the things that you need and they can still make all of the dishes that they're all excited to make and everything, but you're not going to offend your host or hostess by bringing a dish when you come. I mean, imagine this scenario. You walk up to your friend's house, she opens the door, she takes your coat, and you say, oh, it smells so wonderful in here. And she says, I know, I'm so excited to serve you this cheesy lasagna that I made. I slaved over it all day. And then you're like, oh, I can't eat it. It's kind of going to offend her, right? I mean, it would offend me if I had slaved all day and somebody couldn't eat something that I made as well. However, think about this scenario. You walk up to the door, she opens the door, she takes your coat, and then you say, oh, it smells so good in here. I wish I could have it. And she goes, I know, I feel bad, but you'll be able to enjoy it some other time, hopefully. And I'm really glad that you were able to bring something that you can participate as well. See the difference between the two? One kind of offends your host, it's kind of rude. The other one, everyone's happy and you're getting the stuff that you need and she's getting the stuff that she needs, right? So it's really important to have this conversation up front, just so everybody's on the same page. And while you're having this conversation, one really important thing to do is to make sure that you're stating that it's that you're doing this for you, for your health, because you want to feel better, that you've been feeling terrible, and whatever reasons you have for this, make sure it's about you. And because people tend to take these things as judgment against them. And you don't want to have that. There's sometimes an implicit little understanding in there that you're being healthy and they're not being healthy and things like that. And you want to just make sure that that's not there, that they understand that you're doing this because you don't feel well, not because it's any sort of statement against how they eat or anything like that. I think having that conversation and clearing that all up as well is just something that's really going to make things just so much better between you and lessen any snide comments or anything like that that may happen while you're over their house. And then, for example, if you're going over someone's house because they're having a party for you, perhaps you're the guest of honor, or it's just a small gathering of maybe like 2 other friends or another friend, and they're celebrating your birthday or something like that, they're gonna wanna make food for you perhaps. And instead of bringing your own food and doing all that, and allowing them to be able to make the dishes for you, one of the best things to do is to provide them with recipes that they could go ahead and prepare and make sure that you're not going to get sick from them. Now, if you're gonna do this though, make sure you give them recipes that are pretty easy to understand, not anything that's too technical. So like if you're on AIP again, for example, nothing with like tiger nuts or cassava flour, any of those weird AIPE ingredients. Same thing with paleo. Just do things that you're gonna find in most grocery stores, like mashed sweet potatoes again, or chicken, or these different kind of things that anyone could potentially make without having to go through some sort of culinary school or a month of a restrictive diet. And then if you're going this route, make sure you let the person who is making your dishes know if there are any particular spices or any of those kind of things that are totally off limits. So like if you are on AIP, give her maybe like the list of spices that you cannot eat, so that way she doesn't inadvertently put pepper in there because she thought it would be, or it sounded better to her, which is what we don't want. We don't want her to spice it up or make it more like her dishes. You want to just keep it so that it's going to be okay for you. And of course, they could always spice up their dishes, have like take a little portion out for you, they can spice theirs up, but keep yours rather limited within your restrictive diet. So then, speaking of, if you happen to get served something that is not within your diet, be gracious. Don't get mad at them. Highly doubt that they are trying to make you sick or anything like that. It was probably more of an accident where they didn't even realize. By getting angry with them, it's not gonna help the situation at all. It's not gonna make you feel better. It's not gonna make them feel better. Like it's done. What's done is done, so just let it go. I wouldn't even mention it to them unless this is going to be something that's gonna happen often, or if maybe you're staying over their house and you get really sick through the night, maybe mention it then, but still try not to put blame on them, because you don't wanna risk your friendship or your family values or ties or whatever it is, like relationship, over this. It happens, and I suggest bringing activated charcoal with you wherever you go, just in case it does happen, so that way it can help mitigate some of the problems that may happen. Just take a few capsules of those. Activated charcoal can usually be found in grocery stores or drugstores, and it's usually in the gas and bloating section, but I keep some of that on hand all throughout the winter season to stave off stomach flu. And it's what they use in hospitals to help with like overdoses and drugs and stuff to pump your stomach. So it really works effectively to try to get rid of toxins within you. So it's definitely a handy thing to bring with you if you are going to be going over other people's houses and potentially get exposed to something that's not going to make you feel great. And if also it does happen to you, then maybe potentially think about going back in your diet to a very strict version of it. So like if you're on AIP, go back to the elimination portion for a couple days to weeks. If you're on Whole30, again, go back to Whole30 and paleo to paleo, whatever it is, just to kind of heal and make yourself feel better. Drink a lot of bone broths and soups and just like nourishing foods just to kind of rebuild and replenish, and get a lot of sleep. Those are probably gonna help you the most in feeling better from this little incident. But again, it's not your friend's fault, you're not your family member's fault. Whoever did it, they probably would feel absolutely terrible if they knew they had done this to you, so don't make a big deal out of it. And then finally, when you're over a friend's or family's house and somebody inevitably brings up, well, why are you eating that and not what we're eating or whatever, don't be dogmatic and preachy about it, because that's going to turn somebody off as quickly as possible. What you're gonna wanna do is just explain, again, from your standpoint, I have Hashimoto's, and if I eat corn, I feel terrible the next day. I wake up with terrible sciatic back pain, and then I have brain fog and I'm exhausted and blah, blah, blah. So therefore I try to avoid corn as much as possible. See how I did that? Like, it's all about me. Everything's all about me. But it's not, you're just, again, not trying to make people feel like you're judging them. You could say something even simple like, I'm trying to avoid tomatoes because I have autoimmune disease and I'm trying to see if they affect me as well. Now, if that person does have an autoimmune disease or isn't feeling well or something like that, then they may ask questions and want to find out more information, in which case, go ahead and educate them. But again, don't be preachy. Don't say things are inherently unhealthy, like saying that thing that you're eating right there, that's really bad for you. Don't do that. Nobody likes that, right? Just say things like, well, I mean, if you're really suffering, then maybe try a gluten-free diet when the holidays are over, because gluten and autoimmune disease have been very closely interlinked, and a lot of people feel better after they've removed gluten. So maybe give it a try. I know that if I was at a dinner party and I wasn't feeling well and I was stuffing my face with a whole bunch of bread and pasta and everything like that, and someone told me that, I'd probably feel a lot better than someone saying, oh, gluten's bad for you. It's a subtle difference, but it makes a huge difference in the way you come across and in raising awareness to other people. And in turn, by educating people and being an example, showing people how much better you feel and look and all of that by your new diet, they'll start to ask questions and want to have some of that too. So it's important to be an ambassador and to show how great these diets and lifestyle choices can be for you, but again, not in a preachy, dogmatic way. And finally, I wanted to talk about alcohol and drinking. I've had videos and blog posts and everything about this before, but I did want to address it here as well. It is one of those things, we have the weirdest society where drinking and peer pressure seems to continue way past college, and people just don't understand why you're not drinking if you're somewhere. They think you're pregnant when you're not. Like, they come up with all these reasons. Like, it blows their mind why you're not drinking. And so if you are on a diet that excludes alcohol, bring yourself a mocktail. That's my favorite way of doing it. If you can, like if you're nearby home, make something that like is really fun, maybe some kombucha, some juice, some fruit, just really make it fun. And I've said in the past, when I do this, people usually come up to me and they're like, where'd you get that? That looks awesome. And I just kind of smile and be like, I brought it from home. Nobody has to know there's no alcohol in it. Or if like if that's not like an option or something like that, you can always put a glass of wine in front of you, in front of the table. Nobody ever seems to notice that you're not drinking it. They just want to know that you have a glass. I don't, this is all psychology that I don't understand. Or if you are really, really like, confident in yourself and everything like that, then just don't have anything and be prepared to have to answer some questions about why. But again, go back to what I said when you have questions about what you're eating and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's it. I hope this helps you really kind of navigate that kind of sometimes tricky world of eating over friends and family's houses, whether it's like any time of the year or especially during the holidays that are upcoming. It can be stressful, but don't let it be. It really still can be a very, very supportive, fun, wonderful time. And you can just bring all of your own stuff and still be healthy at the end of it, which you can't say that for most of the other people, right? Come January 1st, you're not gonna be like, I need to get healthy. You'll still be there. So if you haven't already gotten the password to my Paleo and AIP freebie library, I will put the link to get that below. In that, you can get like paleo meal plans, AIP meal plans, and recipe books, guides on how to do everything easier. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. So I will put a link for that below, and I will see you, I will see you in 2 weeks because I'm going to be on vacation next week. So a week after that, all right? Have a happy Thanksgiving for all of you in the US.